Super Rugby Trans-Tasman Sunday game. There is one. It's the Chiefs against the Rebels. The Chiefs are at home. Home is Sydney. With Victoria still doing the lockdown stuff. New Zealand Rugby, Sanzar and whatnot coordinated and decide this game was best played in Sydney. So the same deal with what the Highlanders had kind of at home last week. This time it's the Chiefs turn, which is unfortunate. I was hoping to head down to Hamilton for this one. Chiefs fans will be pretty gutted they don't get that kind of one last home game, but I mean, it's a pandemic, so there you go. Stuff happens. The Chiefs are in 5th. They're 2-1 with that recent loss to the Reds. They are still in 5th, so they're not going to make the final in all likelihood, but they're not in 10th, which is what the Rebels are in. The Rebels are none from 3. They've had some pretty big hidings, and when I look at their numbers, there's not a heck of a lot of pretty reading. I'll put it that way. But I don't know. Fingers crossed. They did seem to improve slightly last week, so we'll see if we see a little bit more of that. Remember, the Rebels are a team in transition at the moment with coaching changes and whatnot. So yes, it's going to be played in Sydney, 5th against 10th. Be a good chance to see these teams have a hit out, I guess. It is 5 o'clock over here on a Sunday. I think it's 3 o'clock local time. It'll be interesting what the crowd attendance is like as well. The Chiefs, in terms of their lineup, have made a few changes, and it makes sense. You might as well, give a few guys a crack. They got O'Neill, Taukei'aho, and Tupaea. That's the front row, so pretty much the same as last week, I think, except Taukei'aho starts and Slater drops to the bench. Josh Lord is called back into the starting 15. He starts at lock alongside Tupou Vaa'i. Sowakula, Boshier, and Jacobson is the same back 3. It's a really good back 3, man. Sowakula is a big ball carrier. Boshier is a big tackle, turnover merchant, and Jacobson does a bit of everything. His turnovers and tries and whatnot have been really phenomenal for the Chiefs this year. Interestingly, Xavier Rowe gets a start at number 9. Your man Weber is dropped to the bench for this one. And to be fair, Rowe added a bit of pace to the game last week when the Reds were kind of wilting under the Chiefs' comeback. I think Rowe had a big part to play in that, so good to see him get a start. Gatland replaces Damien McKenzie at 10. Remember, D-Mac is suspended after the red card he got last week. Tupaea and ALB is the midfield. Tupaea is up from the bench, which means Nankivell drops down. Bailyn, Sullivan, Shaun, Stevenson, and Kaleb Trask is the back 3. So Stevenson and Tia swap places. Mitch Brown drops to the bench with Lord getting the start. There's no Messam in the team this week. Relatively same 23. It's only Gatland and Lord that are the additions, with Messam and D-Mac the guys that drop out. But there's a fair bit of rotation amongst who's starting and who's on the bench. For the Rebels, likewise, there's a few changes. Ulisse and Elof is the front row. Scrum time, they may be a little bit under the pump, but they will hopefully stand up to the Chiefs' onslaught. I'll get to the stats in a minute. Leota is in the second row this week alongside Jose. That's a pretty dynamic locking duo. I say that probably every week about these guys. I hope they get some good go-forward ball. And the back row, Wells is at 6, Hardwick's up to 7, and Naisarani is at 8. Naisarani could use a big game, man. He's a big block-busting, ball-carrying number 8. He's not really put his hand up. There's been a lot of other number 8s in Australia, Harry Wilson and Rob Valtini, who have really stolen the limelight from him. He could use a big game for sure. Hardwick's good at the breakdown, gives away a few too many penalties, but it's kind of the line that he has to flirt with, being a wee bit of a fetcher. So we'll see how he goes. And Wells, good line-out man, good tackle rate. So he's been kind of shifting around. I think he's played 6, 7, and 8 this season. So he's a bit of a jack of all trades. Powell and Carter Gordon is the 19 combo because they're still playing Tupaea at 12. He is captain. Ely is there at 13. Korobete, Lockie Anderson, and George Worth are the back 3. George Worth's only played a couple of games in this season, but he's looked pretty sharp, I thought. He's got a good instinct. He's got a feel for the game when he's about to go out. He manages to shift the ball back into play. Just finds himself at the right place at the right time, which is good. It's pretty necessary. And Korobete actually managed to get some tries for the first time this year. Last week he bagged 2 of them, so it was a long time coming. Hansen, Gibbon, and Van Neck are the front row replacements. I think it's only Van Neck's second game for the Rebels. Ross Haylett-Petty is there as well, along with Michael Isley. I think it's his debut. I don't think I've seen him play before. Tato Callaway and Lomani are the back replacements. Now, when you look at the head-to-head, it's pretty ugly reading for the Rebels, man. Tries, 14-6. That's the Chiefs with 14. Clean breaks, 30-14. Remember, these teams have played the same amount of games. Run meters, 1,500 to 900. Defenders beaten 92-28. Tackling percentage, 84-78. I mean, the Chiefs aren't the highest team by any means, but 84 is certainly a lot better than 78. Line-out percentage is the one stat that the Rebels actually edge the Chiefs. But the Chiefs' line-out is at 80%, which is good enough for dead last in Trans-Tasman. And the Rebels are 82%, which is one spot better. It's the only head-to-head stat I could find that they are superior to the Chiefs. And they're only good enough for second last. So, not pretty reading, man. Offloads, the Chiefs do it the most. The Rebels are 9th. But remember, the Rebels don't have a lot of ball often. Scrum, the Chiefs are 1st. The Rebels are 9th. Yeah, man, it could be a pretty long night at the office. But as I said, the Rebels did actually look better, which is not that hard because they were pretty bad. The first round got a little bit better, second round got a little bit better, third round. So they may be on the right track, but they did start with the bar pretty low. The Chiefs, so you look at their stats, man. ALB is one of their key guys for clean breaks, defenders beaten. Offloads is the top man in the competition, so he will be a good guy for the Rebels to try and contain. The Chiefs may rely on him for a bit of magic with D-Mac out. But yeah, the bookies have got the Chiefs by 18. Rugby Forecast algorithm has got the Chiefs by 15. So either way, the Chiefs are predicted to be at least 2 converted tries ahead by the time the final whistle blows. What do you guys reckon? Do you think the Sydney thing gives either side any advantage? Do you think that's a big blow for the Chiefs? Obviously, they need to go out and get a bonus point win and hope other teams drop games in the Saturday and then next week's games. But it does seem pretty unlikely. But all they can do is go out and try to make a statement here. And as I said, for the Rebels, they have been tracking in the right direction, even if they started about as bad as it gets. So let's hope it's not an absolute hiding. I would prefer to see a nice close game. We saw that in the Friday games. The Blues against the Reds, it was pretty close. The Force put their hands up against the Crusaders. So let's hope this one is kind of a similar one. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. How do you reckon this one's going to go? Like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're just kind of popping along for the first time, or if you're a long-time person along. Subscribe. It helps out. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.